Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and welcome to a stream. I don't really know what it is. I guess it's a strategy stream in a way, but I really wanted to stream today because there's just so much I just wanted to talk about today. I'm sure you guys have got loads of things you guys want to discuss as well, and I feel like I couldn't discuss it in a video because I'd have to make like 3 or 4 different videos all talking about different things, because I kind of want to talk about team news. I kind of want to do a bit of a Q&A with you guys. I kind of want to talk about my free hit a little bit. I want to talk about wildcards. I want to talk about which transfers you guys should be making if you're not on a chip right now. There's just so much I want to talk about. So, it's easier to just, do a stream, have a chat. I want to talk about captains as well, because I'm sure you guys, are just as crazy as me right now when it comes to trying to figure out who is the best captain for this game week, because this has been, I believe this is probably the week where it's been the most difficult to decide on a captain all season. I can't remember another game week this season where it's been so difficult to pick a captain. So we're going to perhaps do a poll a little bit later on in the stream. We're going to try and go on for an hour if there's enough things to talk about, but I think there will be. But we'll do a poll later on in the stream, and then we'll kind of get an idea of what you guys think about captains. But first and foremost, I should say that since posting the video last night, I have just made one tiny change to my free hit team, because I am on a free hit. Guys, this is not my normal team. I wish this was my normal team. That would be pretty epic, right? But this is where I'm at in terms of my free hit, including captains and vice captains as things stand. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. It's pretty insane. We're going for 10 out of 11 double game week players, so loads of fixtures. I've tried to pick the most nailed on players as possible. There are a few things that I think I might potentially change. And one thing that has changed since last night, and that is I'm currently on Matt Target instead of Fabian Schär. I was on Fabian Schär previously. I've gone for Target here instead. I don't think there's too much between the two of them. I can't fully decide which one I want to do. I don't know exactly which one I'm going to go for in the end, but currently on Target. That could change to Schär. Who knows? Jack Jones, thank you for the super chat. Butter Gang back to support the best FPL YouTuber. Thank you very much, Jack Jones, and all you boys in the Butter Gang. Let's go. But there we go. Jeremy Baker says the player your cat puts its paw on first is your captain. I mean, we could do something like that. We could do something. Maybe I'll do that over on Twitter. We'll do some kind of video of, maybe I'll put 4 treats on 4 different pieces of paper with 4 different captain choices, and let our good friend Milton the cat decide who to captain. It could be as simple as that. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now. I'm pretty happy about this. I know a few of you guys are talking about James. I do want to talk about James in this video as well, because we know James has been training. He's looking good. He's looking good to go. I am seriously concerned about James's playtime over this particular game week. So because I want a free hit, I don't think I necessarily want to go for James, because I do want to prioritise players who I know are going to get game time, because the biggest appeal of defenders for this Chelsea double game week is the fact that both games are a very likely clean sheet. Both games you probably put on 50% plus odds on Chelsea getting a clean sheet in each of those games. So we are expecting clean sheets, and if James only plays one, and I think he'll only play one of the 2 games, or at least only start one of the 2 games, that means he's only going to be available for one opportunity for a clean sheet, and that's not quite good enough for me. Now, going forward, if this was a longer term team, I would choose James, because James is only just coming back from injury. I'm a little bit concerned about James in the immediate term, but longer term, I would really quite like to have James in my team. So when I'm off my free hit again, maybe I'll think about bringing in Reece James fairly soon. I would recommend you guys, if you're not on a free hit, if you're on a wild card, if you're just making your transfers, Reece James, excellent pick. But for this double game week alone in isolation, I think I would rather go for someone a little bit more nailed on. I just feel like Rudiger and Thiago Silva are both pretty nailed on. I know there's going to be a few opinions on this one, so we will talk a lot about Chelsea, because I think that's probably the biggest topic of the day. That's why I put Thomas Tuchel in the thumbnail. So we will talk a lot about Chelsea. Someone in the chat says, asked what shirt I'm wearing today. This is the Inter Milan Champions League pre-match shirt. I saw it in when Inter Milan played against Liverpool last week, the week before, and yeah, I think it's just such an insane shirt, so I thought I'd add that to the collection. I'm going to treat myself once every couple of months to a new football shirt to see if we can make a bit of a collection going on and we can wear them in videos. But yeah, back onto Chelsea. So Azpilicueta is out. Yes, he is out probably this game week, but I don't know going forward. I think from what I kind of read, Azpilicueta might be back for the second game against Norwich, but we need to remember that we've got other players filling in at left back and right back for Chelsea at the moment. We've kind of got Pulisic playing there, Hudson-Odoi playing there. We've got Sarr, Malang Sarr playing there, particularly if there's a 4 at the back formation. Maybe we're going to see Sarr there as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. It's a bit of a mess. We've got a lot of different players. I wouldn't be confident about Alonso playing twice either. Particularly, let's just have a look, guys. If you kind of look in the Premier League, Alonso's playtime, it's been inadequate. I know he's been playing a couple of games in the cup games, but it's just not good enough. So, kind of look recently, he's not started the last 2 games there. I know there's not been too many games recently for Chelsea, but that's all we've got really for data recently. I mean, before that, yes, but even before that, we're going back to like December. So I do think, maybe Chelsea fans will agree, but I don't think Alonso is anywhere near nailed at the moment. Chelsea fans, what do you think? I just don't think he is. So what I'm looking for this specific double game week is to find the most nailed on Chelsea defenders. And in my opinion, the 2 most nailed on Chelsea defenders are Rudiger and Thiago Silva. So that's why I'm going for them. Alonso, I think, is too risky. Azpilicueta, he's obviously injured. Chalobah, he could be back, but Christensen, he's not going to be back. So that kind of is more reason to go for Thiago Silva. We've got Sarr there, obviously. I think he's going to probably get some game time over the double. There's a lot. I do think James is going to get game time, but like I said, I don't think he's going to play both. I think Azpilicueta should be back for the second game. Ziyech is in training, so that's good. But, I say it's good. It's probably bad for Mason Mount because, obviously, Mason Mount is, primarily playing on the right of a 3. If Chelsea play with a 3-man up front, then, there's possible that. Well, Harry's just made a really good point. In fact, I am going to do that. Hang on. Someone in the chat has mentioned that my team name is it says Moscow in it. So I'm actually going to modify that. I'm just going to put something else on the screen there, guys, so you can have a look at this, because I do want to talk about this as well. Whilst I quickly change my team name to something else, but don't worry, I've got a much better idea. So we're going to change from CSKA Moscow to, and this is not bad. This is not bad actually. We're going to go change it to BSKA Sofia. So there you go. The pun still works, and we can take out some Russian references in our team, which I think is probably a good idea. No, it's no hate whatsoever. I didn't even think of it, to be honest. So that's I think the right thing to do right now. Anyway, so anyway, back to Chelsea. So we kind of spoken about the defenders a little bit. I really do think it is kind of messy in terms of fullbacks. I think it's messy in terms of the third of the 3 centre backs. I think Rudiger and Thiago Silva super nailed on. I would go for James as well. If I'm not on a free hit, I'm strongly considering James. Even if I'm on a free hit, I'm still thinking about James. But aside from that, Rudiger, Thiago Silva, and James, I don't think I would go for any others, to be honest. I'm too worried about rotation, not just this game week, but going forward. I feel like a player like Alonso or Chalobah, you're trying to cut corners by trying to get someone a little bit cheaper. You end up with dead weight in your team. They're not even going to be playing every single game week. It just spells problems for me. So yeah, Rudiger, Thiago Silva, and James are the only Chelsea defenders that I would consider. So, ESC Robin says, Chelsea defender over Cancelo for a hit. Is that worth it? Also, Sarr over Foster for a hit. Worth it since he has a double game week and game week 30. Well, Sarr is, I think, a really good consideration because I think he's going to score really well. I'm liking the look of Sarr a lot. I kind of mentioned this in videos this week. But because Wolves are dropping so deep into the box, it's forcing their oppositions to take a lot of long-range shots, which means Sarr is getting some fairly easy save points, which is exactly what we like. So Sarr, I would consider that. You know, a lot of people are thinking about going from Cancelo to a Chelsea defender. I think that's okay. I wouldn't be super confident about that because we know Cancelo is literally one of the highest scoring players in FPL and can do it against anyone. I think, if trying to think back, I think Cancelo actually did. I mean, let's verify this, but I think Cancelo actually did quite well against Manchester United last time they played. Let's have a look here. But this is from memory, so I might be totally wrong. I do apologise. Oh, there you go, right there. You know, 14 points the last time I played Manchester United, 2 assists and a clean sheet. So, yeah, it's difficult. I know we want these double game week players, but remember, Chelsea are not going to play in 30. So you're swapping, you know, it's really for one game week only. I don't know. Not fully convinced by it, but I can understand why someone would do it. So, yeah, there you go. A few people from Bulgaria in the chat enjoying the team name change. We're going to go for CSKA Sofia. There we go. Easy as that. Anyway. So, I want to talk about Chelsea attackers a little bit. We'll do the super chat quickly first from Pradip, who says Tierney or Livra, Bowen or Maddison. I'm on a wild card. I don't know. I feel like maybe it could be an interesting time to go for Maddison, to be honest, because they've got Leeds this game week, haven't they? And then they've got a double game week in 30, and then we're expecting a lot of doubles for Leicester thereafter. So yeah, Maddison could be quite a nice place to go for. In terms of Tierney or Livramento, I do prefer Tierney. I think Livramento is going to become a little bit rotation risk in the near future, just because you know, we've got Perraud there, we've got Walker Peters, and we've got Livramento, and Perraud is playing very well. Walker Peters is playing well, so it's very difficult to say for sure. I know, well, Walker Peters will be nailed when fit. But in terms of Perraud and Livramento, I think there's going to be a little bit of rotation there, to be honest. A few people asking what I'm drinking. Guys in the chat, particularly the members, if you've got any emojis for me, I think let our friends in the chat know exactly what I'm drinking, but you guys know. There's only one drink for these streams. But anyway, attackers. So, a few people talking about Mason Mount. I like the look of Mason Mount if he is nailed. The problem is with Mason Mount, he plays in a similar position to Ziyech, unless there's a kind of even if there's a one man behind two-man strike force, you know, Havertz and Lukaku up front, Mount in behind, or is it going to be Ziyech? This is the problem. Ziyech and Mount are in direct competition, and quite frankly, Ziyech has been in far better form, really, when he has been fit. Anyway, well, before his minor injury, he's just been the better player. So it's really difficult to advocate for Mount. I know he is Mount. He has that Mount factor where he is very nailed on typically, but I just think there is. Thank you guys for those blackcurrant squash emojis in the chat. Yeah, there's a situation where I feel like Mount is not as nailed as he has been in the past. So I think they're going to share minutes. And what do we want? We want the players who are nailed on as possible. Again, if it's a situation, someone said in the chat that Ziyech is injured, he's training now, so he is going to be back very soon. He could start this game, probably more likely to start the Norwich game. But going back to Mount again, if I was buying him in for the long term, I'd be more tempted by Mount, because I'd perhaps be a little bit more tempted by his long term game time. But then again, Chelsea are in a lot of competition still. You know, we've got the Champions League, which is very important to Chelsea. So that is potentially going to be a problem. So yeah, this is the problem with Chelsea, and this really is the problem with Chelsea. It's so difficult to identify a player who's going to play game in, game out, right? It really is. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like out of the Chelsea attackers right now, the most nailed on Chelsea attacker is Havertz. And I know people who just watch the Premier League are probably thinking, well, hang on, why Havertz? He's not done anything in, you know, so long. I mean, look at this. This is not exactly making for good reading, right, guys? Not at all. But so yeah, if you just watch the Premier League, you'll probably think that. But those of you guys, particularly Chelsea fans, you guys will know that the Havertz has been Chelsea's best player among all competitions. You know, in the Champions League, he was I believe he was Chelsea's best player. In the Club World Cup final as well, star player on there as well. So this is the thing. If you're trying to figure out the best Chelsea player, and Chelsea do need to build some momentum here for the Champions League, and for the fact that, you know, maybe their position in the top four is not something that they're going to take for granted. They are going to try and play their best players and keep their good players in good form, even if there is a little bit of rotation for those players struggling with injuries and stuff. And I believe Havertz is their best. I'll put it out there. It's probably been their best player recently. So for that reason, I know that's controversial because Havertz is such a troll player. But for a 1 game week punt, and that's what this is not a permanent player in my team, I'm happy to go for that. I'm happy to go for a 1 week punt on the player who I believe right now is Chelsea's best player. So, there we go. But I completely understand the scepticism behind that. I do completely understand the scepticism there. People mentioning Lukaku. I don't think he's nailed. I don't think Lukaku is nailed, unfortunately. And he's a lot of money for a player who's not nailed. And even if he does play, it's like he's got to get the ball. You know, he's got to get onto the ball, and he doesn't. He moves away from the ball constantly, and the system that Chelsea have just doesn't suit Lukaku. Lukaku's a world-class striker who needs to be, you know, running behind the defenders. You know, he's a counter-attacking type striker, but he's being utilised as a more traditional number 9, which he just isn't. Sesk on the super chat here says, "Hi Dan, still have 2 free hits and a bench boost. This week I have a decent team. Do you think I still use the free hit?" Well, if you've got a decent team, no, I don't. There's going to be a few more opportunities for the free hit. Guys, I'll get up this graphic very briefly whilst we're responding to this super chat, because there are a couple of opportunities, I think, for a free hit coming up. The first is this game week, and if you don't have very many double game week players, I mean, I myself only have 3 double game week players in my normal team, and that was planned, to be fair. I was intentionally doing that because I knew I would be free hitting now. But if you found yourself with 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 is good enough, but if you kind of got 5 or less, then you're probably going to strongly consider going for a free hit if you've got 5 or less double game week players for Game Week 28. If you've got 6, 7 double game week players for Game Week 28, I don't think you need to free hit. Now, Game Week 29, I don't think is a good free hit week because I think it's a bit of more of a trolley type double game week, because if you actually look at the double game week fixtures, there's actually some kind of tough ones there. Arsenal, Leicester and Liverpool, not really ideal. Brighton, Liverpool and Tottenham, not really ideal. And I can go through, you know, even Spurs' double game week there. Man United and Brighton, Liverpool, Brighton and Arsenal. These are not amazing doubles, to be honest. They're not amazing. So I don't think that's a free hit week. Plus, a lot of us guys are still on a lot of Arsenal players, Liverpool players, and Spurs players as well. So we're probably going to be reasonably covered for Game Week 29. Anyway, I don't think it's a good free hit week. Game Week 30, I do think is a good free hit week because there are so few fixtures. If you find that you've only got 3 or 4 players, maybe 5 or 6 players that you can play for Game Week 30 after using your transfers, then, you know, you can basically guarantee yourself more points using a free hit. Because, you know, if you've got 5 or 6 of your players who are guaranteed to get 0 points because they don't have a fixture, you can times that 5 or 6 by 2. 2 standard points for playing, and you're already way up before you even get any returns. So for that reason, I do think Game Week 30 is a good opportunity for a free hit. But there's one more that I really like for a free hit, and that's excluding Game Week 36, which is arguably a free hit week. I think 36 is more of a bench boost week, really. But the other free hit week is Game Week 33, because we could get a bit of a madness going on in Game Week 33. Could be a bit of a madness. Who's this tweet I see earlier that kind of detailed it? It might have been Ben Krellin, actually. So if we go on Twitter and have a look at Ben Krellin's page, the fixture guru of FPL Twitter. Let's have a look. Here he is. So he says, hang on, I need to get this on screen for you guys, don't I? There we go. Right. So he says here, I've just had a look at what would happen if the big 3 reached the FA Cup semi-finals and the remaining Game Week 30 blanks plus Chelsea versus Leicester and Tottenham versus Arsenal move to the midweek in Game Week 33. Game Week 33 would be a big double game week. 9 teams would double and 3 teams would blank. So basically what he's saying is how can I explain this easily? Because Ben Crellin his stuff is quite detailed. But basically, in game week 33, that is when the next round of FA Cup games will take place. Not the next round, the round after the next round. That's when that round will take place. And we're kind of expecting teams like Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea to go through in the next round of the FA Cup, which means they're going to have a fixture conflict with whoever they're meant to be playing in game week 33. So they'll have their fixture moved. Now, one way that this could be resolved is just that the fixtures just move to the midweek slot instead of the weekend slot, so nothing will really change. But alternatively, there could be a couple of blanks there. We don't know for sure, and this is a real difficulty right now, to be honest, guys. We don't know for sure exactly what's going to happen with game week 33. It really could be anything, and it's so difficult to predict. We can predict that the big Premier League teams will go through of their round of FA Cup, but what we can't predict is where the fixtures will move from there. So for that reason, if you think you've got a spare free hit kicking around, then maybe save it for game week 33, and hopefully, I say hopefully, in an ideal situation, if you have saved your free hit for game week 33, there is a real mess of game week 33 turns into a real mess, and game week 33 has the potential to turn into a real mess. I'm not massively worried about that happening, but there is a significant chance of getting a lot of blanks and a lot of doubles all at the same time, and you may struggle depending on what players you have in your team. So there you go. Just receiving news here via the chat that Shane Warne has unfortunately died. That is a shame. So rest in peace to Shane Warne, and I'll perhaps go and have a look at what's happened there after. So yeah, cricket fans, that is very, very saddening news. Back to Super Chats, guys. We've got one from Aranya, who says, any good game weeks to bench boost in the future except 28, 29 and 36? Possibly 33, and that really does depend on blanks and doubles. Possibly 33. That's the only one, the only other one that is standing out to me as what could be a significant game week. The other ones, I imagine, will just be kind of, a couple of teams who have to catch up on their fixtures. Like, Leicester have got a few fixtures to reschedule, so have Burnley. They'll probably happen reasonably soon. Particularly Burnley, I'm expecting I'm probably expecting another Burnley double in 31-32, because there has been some slots, allocated there for these games, these midweek slots. Michael Ritchie says, yo Dan, what's the max hit you take this week? I think a -4 is a standard hit. Unless your team is in real trouble, you probably don't need to be taking -8s and 12s, really. But yeah, it's one of those things where it depends what kind of players you have, because a lot of people will be taking hits to take out Saka. Hang on, let me get my pen out. Where's my pen? Here we are. So a lot of people will be taking out players like Saka, who plays Watford this game week and a double next game week, and they'll be replacing them with, I don't know, for example, they'll say, I really want to have, Coutinho for this double game week. Well, take it as a snapshot of 2 game weeks. Do you want Coutinho for those 2 game weeks, or do you want Saka for that? Well, it's more like, do you want Coutinho and a -4 points for, the Aston Villa next 2 game weeks, or do you want the Arsenal one? And bear in mind, if you want to take it even further, if you want to think even longer term, Saka is a player you're probably going to want to have all the way over here. We've got more doubles for Arsenal coming up as well. This is a very good run of fixtures for Saka. If you take this as a whole for someone, I don't know who you're thinking about taking a -4. I'm just using an example here because I've seen a lot of people talk about removing Saka. Just be aware of the longer term ramifications of that. If you're going for like a Leeds player, it looks at Rafinha. It looks a little bit better, I suppose. So I guess that'd be more understandable to go for Rafinha. But if we're taking hits to take out players who you actually quite like, if you've got dead weight in your team, say you've got Trossard or someone, you're not really bothered about this run for Trossard. Take a -4, just do it and get in a player that you like. If you've got a defender that you don't really like. But the problem is with defenders, who you're going to take out. If you're taking -4s to take out Arsenal defenders, then that seems pretty foolish. If you're using a hit to take out Liverpool, really, they've got double next week, Liverpool. People talking about taking a hit to take out Man City defenders. Man United this game week, Crystal Palace next. For a hit, I don't think so. So, I mean, obviously it's up to you, but I feel like a lot of the hits that people would be taking are actually not really that appealing, really. Unless you truly do have dead weight to get rid of in your team. And I can see that happening. I can see, a lot of us do have, a lot of people do have players that they just don't want in their team anymore. They, long-term, short-term, they just don't want the player anymore. In which case, I understand a hit. But if you're taking out players who you're going to want to have back for hits, I don't know. Someone said in the chat, hey Dan, since Semedo is injured, is Hoover? I never know how to say his name. We'll go with Hoover. Is Hoover nailed? No, I don't think he's nailed. Because Semedo will be back, before long. I mean, let's talk about... I'll tell you what, I'm going to put a poll in the chat and we'll come back to this. I'm going to put a captaincy poll in the chat. And then we'll talk about Wolves defenders and Wolves players in general, because I know a few of you guys, Wolves have one of the best double game weeks this week. I've seen a few of you guys in the chat want to talk about Wolves players a little bit, so we will do that in just 1 second. But let me just put this poll up. Such a weird word to say. Who is the best captain for game week 28? And I'm going to put the options as Salah, Rudiger, Coutinho, or Rafinha, because I do consider those to be the big four. I know a few of you guys may be considering outside of that, but I do feel like those are the big four in terms of captaincy. So there we go. We can put that in there, and you guys feel free to answer that poll, and we'll come back to it. But I want to talk to you guys about Wolves players. See, I told you there's just so much I want to talk about, and I'm going on all kinds of tangents, and I knew I would, which is why I wanted to do this in a stream, so we could just talk about a whole bunch of stuff, because there's a real broad range of things to talk about. Chelsea, Wolves, chip strategies, when is the best time to use each chip, future blank and double game weeks, so much going on right now. So let's order by transfers in. I like to order like this way, just so you can see how many people are transferring in each player. But guys, we've got a situation where we're kind of trying to pick some Wolves players. Now, I'll start off by answering, why am I picking Saiss? Why am I picking Saiss over some of the other players on my free hit team? And I can answer that pretty easily, to be honest. Because I think he is the best defender for bonus points, and I think he's the best defender in terms of attacking returns. So we do think of Cody, Saiss, and Kilman as much of a muchness, and there isn't much in them between them most of the time. Saiss is a little bit more expensive. Fortunately for me, because I'm on a free hit, I've not really got, money's not really an object. I think all three of Cody, Saiss, and Kilman are, pretty much guaranteed to start every game for the rest of the season, right? Unless there's an injury. Pretty much every game, anyway. And it's just a case of Saiss does better for bonus points, typically. Even when Wolves concede, because he's a reasonably good ball playing centre back, he does he does pick up FPL bonus points, sorry. So he does well for bonus, better than the others. I do think he is the best attacking threat of the three as well. We think of Saiss as a player who does occasionally like to get up the pitch and become that the aerial presence when there is a corner or a free kick. He's very much the target man, or one of the main target men anyway, for Wolverhampton Wanderers. So that's pretty good there. But yeah, in terms of Wolves defenders, those are the three I would pick from, really. Saiss, Cody, and Kilman. It really depends on your budget. If you've just got loads of budget and you just want someone for this game week alone, then Saiss. If you are thinking a little bit more longer term, you might want to go a little bit cheaper and go for Cody or Kilman, because there's not enough in it for it to be worth really spending the extra money unless you want a free hit. So yeah, Kilman, Cody, nothing wrong with that. I'd probably edge towards Cody, to be honest. But that's kind of up to you. In terms of the fullbacks, this is where things get a little bit trickier. So we have got Semedo injured at the moment. Return date not for another month. So we have got an international break in there somewhere, I think. But anyway, actually, when is the international break? It's coming up soon, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is in there. So that's at the end of March. That's quite a few games between there. So Semedo's a write-off anyway. But we have got a couple of other defenders who will be playing. We have got actually four. Is it four? Four other fullbacks that will get game time for Wolves, and this is where it's just not. It's no good. It's why I would kind of tend to avoid the fullbacks at Wolves at the moment. So we've got Ait Nouri on the left. We've got Marçal as well on the left, so they're sharing game time at the moment. You guys can see already that we've seen a couple of games recently that, despite being fit, Ait Nouri has actually been rotated or dropped, which is a little bit disappointing, I'm sure. And we've kind of seen Marçal come in at the left wing back position, getting some game time there. We've then got on the other side, on the right hand side, we've got Hoover, played last game. Is he nailed on? No, I don't think he is, because we've got one more fullback that everyone seems to forget, and that is Johnny, yes papa, who is finally back. A lot of people typically think of Johnny as a left wing back. Yes, he did play left wing back for Wolves in seasons gone by. But naturally, Johnny is actually a right back. He is a right-footed player. He's played a right wing back for just as much of his career as he's played left wing back. He can play both sides. So I imagine that Johnny is going to rotate a little bit with Hoover in the absence of Semedo. But Johnny also can play left back as well. So it really is a disaster. 4 different, even with Semedo being out, we've still got 4 different Wolves fullbacks that could play. So, yeah, Wolves fullbacks, kind of just a write-off, really. If you're looking just for nailed-on players, and that's exactly what you should do when we're looking at double game weeks, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for those fullbacks. So centre-back is where you want to go. Sarr as well. I've hyped him up enough this week. I even spoke about him earlier. Sarr as well, super good option for Wolves. In fact, I think Sarr will probably be the best scoring Wolves player over the double game week, if I'm honest. On to some attackers. So, I'll start you off with midfielders by saying, don't touch. Don't touch them. They are just so... they do nothing 99% of the time, and then 1% of the time they'll pop up with something and they'll get you excited, but it really is not worth it. Podence is maybe the exception to that. I say maybe. It's not good enough still. Still rotation risk. Still, not producing a lot in terms of attacking numbers. So, yeah, don't really rate that one. So forget midfielders for Wolves. It ain't happening. In terms of forwards, we've got Jimenez and we've got Hwang. Now, Hwang is the biggest trap that you could ever imagine. I really would avoid Hwang. I know a lot of people want to go for him. They want to go for him. You want to do something a little bit different. He's cheap. I get that. But he doesn't score goals. He's scored 1 goal. Well, in the Premier League. 1 goal since Gameweek 9. That's not good enough. I know he had an injury, but even before his injury, he was getting rotated. Even after his injury, he's getting rotated. He's not a player who gets a lot of goals in his career. He had a little nice flurry early on in the season, and we really like the look of him. I also look back fondly to those times. But if you look long term over Hwang's career, he is not no pun intended. He's not a goal scoring player. That's not his game. He's more of a player who stretches defenders a little bit. So he's just not that good at scoring goals, and therefore not that good at scoring FPL points. He's not getting assists either. He's not particularly creative. I don't know. Don't fancy him. And on top of that, I think that Saiss, because he's kind of the left winger, isn't he? I think he's going to rotate with Neto, because Neto is back now, and Neto is definitely Wolves' best winger. best midfielder. I think he's gonna, he's played 9 minutes, 15 minutes, 14 minutes. He's played minutes in the cups as well. I think he's gonna be, he's gonna start getting his name on the team sheet soon. And the player that's gonna miss out when Neto is back is gonna be Hwang, unfortunately. So yeah, that is the situation. Osama in the super chat says, I am not on Sice on my free hit. Yes, I am. I'm pretty sure I am. Am I not? Oh, wait. Why have I got Cody? That should be Sice. I don't know why that's Cody. So I do apologise. I guess I was tinkering this morning. I may have forgotten to put Sice back in. So yes, we are going to have Sice in there. So I do apologise. That is my mistake. That should be just like that. So yeah, Sice is the guy for me. Thank you for the heads up. I mean, imagine if I didn't realise that until deadline. That would be a disaster. I mean, hopefully I wouldn't. I wouldn't last that long without noticing. And finally, the last Wolves player that is worth speaking about is Jimenez, right? Who a lot of us are looking for. I mean, all I can say is manage your expectations. Manage your expectations in general with forwards. The reason why I'm going for just one forward on my free hit team is because none of them are performing. You guys know none of them are performing. And half of the time, we're only playing forwards just because we feel like we have to. So let's forget about that and just go with one forward. That's what I'm doing anyway. But yeah, Jimenez, I don't know. He's an okay option. The fixtures are really good. He's been disappointing recently, but there have been some difficult fixtures. I mean, West Ham, Arsenal, Leicester, Tottenham, Arsenal again. You can kind of understand why Jimenez wasn't scoring a lot of goals over this period. But similarly, we look back at earlier on in the season and he wasn't scoring against small teams then either. So let's see what happens with Jimenez. It could be okay. Crystal Palace and Watford are not a bad pair of fixtures. It's okay. I think Jimenez is he's definitely one of the better forwards. Definitely one of the better forwards. But I don't know how much that is saying. Let's see what happens there, but definitely something to be taken into consideration. Someone said in the chat that Sice has 4 yellows. There's actually a few players with 4 yellows. Fortunately, at the halfway point in the season, the 5 yellow cards equals a red card rule is scrapped in favour of the 10 yellow cards equals a red card. So from the midway point in the season, a player needs to get 10 yellow cards accumulated throughout the season before they'll get a 1-match suspension. So anyone who was on, like 8 or less yellow cards so far this season is safe from future suspensions. So that's fine there. That's fine. Is Neto not an option? I just, you'd be punting on the fact that he comes in and he plays twice, which I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, he's not played a full game yet. So maybe he plays one full game out of the 2, but I don't think he plays both. This is always the risk with players just returning from injury. But interestingly, if Wolves' fixtures at the end of the season were just a little bit better, he could make a nice player to end the season with, because he is a really good player. Really good player. I mean, he's a bit of an FPL legend from last season. I don't know if you remember how well he did last season. Count Sealor says, I mean, as forwards go, Jimenez is in brilliant form. Just a shame he's not great. He's still not great. And that's exactly it. When we're talking about forwards, we've got to think, are they good or are they good for forwards? Which, like I say, is why I'm going for the one-man attack on the free hit, because there's only really one. There's two. There's 2 forwards I really like for this game week, and that's Adams and Kane. For this game week specifically, those are my 2 favourites. But I want to maximise on the double game week players, so I'm dropping Kane to my bench. Don't know why, just because I've got the money to spend, so I might as well spend it, even if it's on my bench. And we're going to go for Adams on the double. And I just don't really fancy any others, on a free hit. Maybe if it was a longer term, I would be more inclined to go for Jimenez, because he's got some good fixtures going forward. Joshua House has any consideration for Marcus Alonso? We did speak a little bit about Chelsea earlier. Well, quite a lot about Chelsea earlier. And basically the conclusion on Marcus Alonso is I just don't think he's nailed at left back. Sarr can play there. We could maybe see Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi maybe there. Azpilicueta could potentially play on the left when he's back. I don't know. People asking why Target or over Shah. I can't decide. I really cannot decide who to go for out of Target and Shah. I like them both a lot. I think the reason why I'm leaning towards Target at the moment is because my research suggests that Target is slightly more likely to get bonus points than Shah if neither of them score any goals or get any assists. If it's just a plain old Mr. Clean Sheet, then Target, I think, is more likely to get bonus points just because he creates a lot of chances. He has been creating a lot of chances recently, which is quite nice, and you get bonus points just for chances created. So yeah, edging towards Target at the moment, but I am tempted. I am tempted by Shah. We know what he can do, like making runs up the pitch for no apparent reason. He's just a bit of a maverick defender, really, isn't he? Guys, let's have a look at this captaincy poll. Why not? What are we saying here? Okay, so we have got 993 votes. In fact, let's get it to 1,000 votes. If any of you guys haven't voted yet on the captaincy poll, let's get that up to 1,000, and then we'll read out the answers. A nice round number. That'd be good. We're 999 now. We need one more. Zaki says, "Where's my blackcurrant squash?" It is right here, my friend. Never do a stream without it, other than the other stream where I had an orange squash, and the one before that where I had a water. You know, maybe I was betraying the blackcurrant squash. But we are back. We are back on the blackcurrant squash hype. Right, that's 1,000 votes. Well over 1,000 votes. Right, the final results for the captaincy poll for the best captain for Gameweek 28. Our winner is Rudiger on 41%. Followed by a Coutinho on 25%, Salah on 19%, and Rafinha on 15%. So that's actually a little bit surprising. I knew Rudiger would be up there because I like Rudiger myself, so I kind of expected to, I don't know, I just assume everyone would be thinking the same way as me for some reason, which obviously is not true. But, you know, I rate Rudiger. I've seen a few other people rate Rudiger, so I just assume you guys would as well. So that's not too surprising. But I did expect Salah to be a little bit closer to Rudiger. And I certainly didn't expect Salah to be third place in this poll. I really thought Salah would be above Coutinho. If I was to guess, I would have estimated it would go about 35% Rudiger, 30% Salah. And what's the remainder on that? 35%. So, you know, maybe like a 20% Coutinho, 15% Rafinha. So, well, actually, to be fair, I didn't think Rafinha was going to be particularly high. So that's not surprising. But you guys prefer Coutinho to Salah in general for a captain? I mean, I respect it. Coutinho is a world-class player, right? Or has been. I don't know. So, yeah, I can see why. I mean, I do like Rudiger because I was kind of talking to some of my friends earlier, and I was saying that for Salah to beat Rudiger's points, what we really need is to kind of identify how likely we think Salah is to get 2 goal returns against West Ham. And I don't know. And you kind of have to ask yourself, what is more likely? Rudiger get 2 clean sheets or Salah get 2 goal returns? And I'm leaning towards Rudiger on 2 clean sheets. Then you factor in bonus points and you're flying. Because the great thing about double game week players, and it's why I kind of always try and lean towards going for a double game week player, is they get 2 points for playing twice. So that's 4 points without having to do anything. Already 4 points. So that's, you know, Salah can score 10 goals, right? But he can only get 2 points for playing. So obviously that's an extreme example, but my point is that having a player who plays twice, they've already got an advantage with those 2 points for playing. We've then got bonus points. So, again, Salah can score 10 goals in a game. He can't go above 3 bonus points. It is not possible. A double game week player can collect up to 6 bonus points. 2 opportunities to get bonus points. So that's very nice there as well. So, for those kind of reasons, I think we've got to take into consideration Salah's, ability. It could be good. It could be good. Now, we expect Salah to get a goal out of this. But Rudiger only really needs to get 1 clean sheet and maybe 1 bonus point to match Salah. If Salah gets 1 goal return. If he's, that's all it's going to take. And I would hope that Rudiger is going to get 2 clean sheets. And I know a few people, I've seen it in the chat, I've seen it on Twitter as well. People saying, well, Chelsea conceded, they conceded 2 goals to Luton Town. There must be a terrible defence. Did you see the defenders that Chelsea were playing? Ruben Loftus-Cheek was playing in defence for some reason. Kennedy was playing at left back for some reason. And I can't remember who else was playing. Was it Sarr? Maybe? I can't remember. But Rudiger was the only starting defender playing in that game. Only main defender. And I don't think he put a foot wrong. So yeah, Chelsea were just playing a really tragic defence in that game. So in a way, I hope people are put off the Chelsea defence by that Luton Town game because they would have just seen the score and not really looked at the context. Because context matters in FPL and people often fall into the trap of looking at things without context. The classic example I always use is if, a lot of people who play FPL will, they'll see, a striker, last game week, they scored a goal. Maybe we should buy this player. They've just scored a goal. They might have not scored in 10 games, but they've just scored a goal. This is looking really good. And you go back and actually watch the highlights of the game and you realise the player who scored the goal, the ball, bounced off, it was blasted at them and it bounced off their bum. The goalkeeper did a goal, not a goal kick, a drop kick, and it hit the attacker in the bum and goes in the net. In FPL, when we're looking at the scores, we see a forward with a goal and we think, nice. But if you don't look at the context, context matters. And I think that is very prevalent in that Luton versus Chelsea result. Hudson-Odoi, was it on the right? Yeah, I think you're right. Right, let's end this poll because I think we've decided once and for all that Rudiger is the best captain. But no, Rudiger, Coutinho. Well, Coutinho much higher than I thought. And I would probably say that Rudiger, Coutinho and Salah are the best captains. And like I said earlier on in the stream, it is so close between those three, all of them, not even just these players. There is so many options. It is really, really difficult to pick a captain this game week. Really difficult. And for that reason alone, because it's so difficult to pick one, you kind of can't really go wrong with foresight. You can go wrong with hindsight, but looking forward, before we know the outcome, you can't really go wrong. They're all good options. It's very difficult to pick between them, so just go with your gut and see it through. And whatever the outcome is, don't worry about it too much because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a roll of the dice because they're all good options. There's no wrong answer there. But yes, let's end that poll. Let's end that poll. Thank you guys for taking part in that one. I do appreciate it. Lots and lots. 1.3 thousand of you in the end. I probably should say, I always forget to say this, but if you wouldn't mind liking the stream, guys, that would be massively appreciated. I do like it when you guys like the stream. And if you haven't done already, please do consider subscribing as well. I really appreciate that as well. But I'm not going to go on about that because I know people get very bored when you go on about liking things and the like, so to speak. Guys, is there any other big topics? We've spoken about captains. We've spoken about Chelsea players. We've spoken about Wolves players. We've spoken a little bit about strategy. Maybe you guys want to go into that a little bit more. Do you want to touch on anything else in particular? I know you guys are still talking about Chelsea players. I would recommend, if you are joining the chat late, if you're joining the live stream late, watch the replay of this because we did talk a little bit about Chelsea players. I mean, maybe we could talk a little bit more, to be honest. But yeah, if there's any big topics you feel like I've missed out, I know it's been a bit of a mishmash. But yeah, happy to talk about anything. Just for the last 10 minutes before I shoot off. Tendai in the super chat says a -8 Vardy, Willock, Rudy if I have 2 times. I mean, it depends who you're taking out. There's no good answer. If you're taking out Arsenal players, Liverpool players, Man City players, then it probably is not going to be worth you taking a -8 to get these players in. So I don't think so. I don't think generally any -8 that you're going to be taking, unless you are removing players who are really, really bad and you just don't want now, you don't want next game, you don't want ever, then don't take a -8, I guess is the answer. Mikhail Zanoli says Rudiger or James and Kilman or Thiago Silva and Seiss for a -4. If this is a long-term move, I would edge towards Rudiger and Kilman, I think. Yeah, I would go for Rudiger and Kilman out of those two choices. And Saka or Rafinha for another -4. Who are you taking out to bring in Saka or Rafinha? I don't think you need to bring in either of them, depending on who you're taking out. I'm trying to think of what other popular midfielders there are. I wouldn't, unless you meant to say take out take out Saka and put in Rafinha, in which case I don't think I would do that. You know, when we get to -8, I don't know. Someone says Spurs defenders. I don't think so. Oh, I mean, okay, right. Actually, that's a good point. Let's talk about Newcastle. Let's talk about Newcastle because they got the double-double. So that is a big topic of conversation, and you guys are going to want to get some Newcastle players in, whether you're on a free hit, whether you're on a wild card, whatever. We'll have a look. Apparently, I missed some super chats. Did I? Oh, I did miss some super chats. That's my bad. I was not looking at the screen. I'll just read everyone from here. So Joshua says, any consideration for Marcus Alonso? I think I answered that, and the answer was no. Michael Richardson says Tierney to Rudiger, then next week Rudiger to Dyer. Definitely not. If you're going to bring in, if you're going to bring in Rudiger, keep him. But you're going to want Tierney for the double next game week anyway. So, I don't know, maybe just stick with Tierney, because Tierney, you've got a pretty good chance of a clean sheet against Watford, and you've got a nice double the following game week, and then Tierney also plays in 30 as well. So you save yourself, rather than doing this chain of 3 transfers, wait, no, 2 transfers really, you could just do 0 transfers, and over the course of the time, probably going to be just as good, really. You know, it's particularly with Dyer, I don't think I'll be trusting him too much. So unless you're going to captain Rudiger, maybe stick with Tierney, I think. Rico says Son and Jimenez or Kane and Saka on a wild card. I would go for Kane and Saka. I know that neither of them play a double this game week, but they do next game week. And, you know, I just think Kane is the Spurs players to go for right now. And Saka is a really nice player to have as well. So Kane and Saka for me. There we go. I think I'm caught up on Super Chat, guys. Thank you so much for the Super Chats. Really do appreciate it, guys. You're absolute legends of the game. Mikhail says he's taking out Trossard. Okay, well, that's more acceptable. You know, if we're taking out dead weight like Trossard, then, yeah, just get rid. Doesn't matter if you're taking a minus. Newcastle. So, with a few considerations. Dubravka, particularly if you guys are on a wild card, what a backup goalkeeper Dubravka is. 4.4 million for a nailed-on goalkeeper for a team that is vastly improving defensively. 3 clean sheets in the last 5. One of the best clean sheet records in Europe recently. One of the best for expected goals conceded, chances conceded and stuff like that. We're liking it. We're liking Newcastle in defence. Good double game week. Brighton at home. You'd hope for a clean sheet there. Next game week, potential for a clean sheet against Everton. You can see it happening. Southampton away, that's kind of tough. But certainly Brighton at home here, Everton away here, nice. So I like that for clean sheets, and I like the price of Dubravka. Shah, I think, is really good if you're on a wild card. I think he's the best cheap defender. 4.3 million. He is nailed on. I think he's more nailed on than Dan Burn because he is, a ball playing centre back, which is exactly what Eddie Howe likes. To partner alongside a kind of a little bit more of a no-nonsense defender. So, Shah is going to be nailed on. He likes to do a random run forward now and again as well, and he's good from set pieces as well. We kind of saw that against Brentford with him getting the assist. He kind of just broke free, didn't he, Shah? Just ran through. I thought it was Chris Wood when I first was watching it. I was like, oh yeah, Chris Wood is... Well, hang on, that's not Chris Wood, that's Fabian Shah. He loves to do it. He's a bit of a maverick centre-back in that way. I'll talk about the other defender in a second. Let me just answer the super chat from Owen, who says free hit in 30, even if I have 7 or 8 players, or save. Well, if you have 7 or 8 players now, mean, you could get 8 or 9, maybe 10 players by the time Game Week 30 rolls around. So if you can get, you know, 9, if you get 8 or 9 players, then I think that will be good enough to not do a free hit, particularly if they're the right players as well, Owen. So yeah, don't worry too much about going for your free hit. If you can save one, then save one. Yanis says, Captain Mount, Salah or Adams. According to our poll, I love your work, by the way. Thank you so much, Yanis. I do appreciate that. According to our polls, and according to probably my own opinion as well, out of Mount, Salah and Adams, Salah is the guy. Is the guy. So I go for Salah out of those 3. But anyway, back onto our Newcastle players. Someone in the chat says, Shari's run the foot markets twin. Let me have a look. I mean, I've watched this guy before. I haven't watched him in a couple of years, actually, to be fair. Do they look the same? Right. That is Run the Foot Market, Nick. And... oh, okay, maybe we need to get a bigger picture of Shah. Oh, I probably should write Fabian Shah. You know what? I kind of see it. Is that what he looks like without a hat? You know what? I never knew what he looked like without a hat on. There we go. Always surprising. Yes, they do look pretty similar, don't they? But anyway, I want to talk about targets. Because he is super creative. Super creative. He's creating a lot of chances. He's also taking a lot of shots at the moment, which is really interesting. His baseline BPS is pretty good. I mean, you can see here, for example, he got... I don't know how much this means to you guys, but I'm a bit of a nerd for this kind of stuff. But he got 19 bonus point system points, which defines, you know, the people who have the most points in the bonus point system points. So this thing here, whoever the 3 players who have the most in each game of these points get bonus points. 19 whilst conceding a goal is good, because defenders they get 15 points just for keeping a clean sheet. I think it's 15, or maybe it's 12. They get a lot of points just for keeping a clean sheet. So that is the bread and butter of the bonus points of the defender, is the clean sheet. So to get 19 there without a clean sheet is very good. So is this 11 there without a clean sheet. You know, I know we've got an assist here, but 24 there, 16 there. These are good scores. You know, the good scores to have without a clean sheet. So if you add clean sheets to the mix, you get things like this. 33, not bad. Not bad at all. And, you know, when you get to about 33, usually you're going to be in the bonus points. Didn't happen against Brentford, mostly because Shaw got an assist as a defender. Assist and a clean sheet is very good. Joelinton as a forward got a goal. Now, that's always good for bonus points. And Fraser was doing madness as well, wasn't he? He got the 2. Joelinton got the 1, and Shaw got the 3, right? If I remember correctly. Yes, that's exactly right. So, you know, I think Target very unlucky not to get bonus points in that game. And that's what I like about Target. I think he'll do, he doesn't need to get an assist or a goal to get bonus points. All it's going to take is a clean sheet, and he's probably going to get bonus points. And, yeah, that's kind of why I like Target. There's a few players I like here. And finally, actually not finally, I want to talk about Chris Wood. Quick word on Chris Wood. Yeah, not a bad player to go for. Manage your expectations, I suppose. He's been unlucky not to get more in recent games, to be fair. But he hasn't got more. So, I mean, there's no form there to go on. He has got double-double. Don't know. A few people was talking a little bit about Newcastle defenders, them being traps, or is it worth considering them? Again, I can't reiterate enough. Newcastle are keeping clean sheets at the moment. They are doing well defensively at the moment. They're looking good. And we have all of these ideas about Newcastle are bad in defence. But we're talking about a Newcastle team that was, you know, had a completely different team back then. Not completely different team, but lots of different players back then. They had a different manager back then. They played a different formation back then. They played a very different system back then. The Newcastle that we are seeing right now is quite literally not the same team as the one we think about being a team that concedes a lot of goals. So we have to deal with our prejudices. Really, that's a big part of FPL is trying to deal with our prejudices. Try and think, are we thinking rationally here, or are we thinking emotionally here? Prakian Kumar says triple Chelsea defence on a wild card. Oh, I don't know about on a wild card because you're going to struggle in game week 30 unless you're free hitting there. And there's also the potential for Chelsea to blank in 33. So I'd be a little bit cautious about going in too hard on the Chelsea defence right now. I would say 1 or 2 now, and maybe pick up an additional Chelsea defender / Chelsea player in game week 31. That's probably what I would say to do. Wait till after game week 30, get that out of the way. So yeah, I think you can afford to. I think you can afford to wait before going all in on the Chelsea defence, unless you just really want to go for it. Right, let's talk about. I'll talk about Joelinton quickly. He's okay. He's still doing well, but at the end of the day, he's a forward who's playing in midfield. So you don't get clean sheet points. You don't get extra points for scoring goals. Doesn't seem worth it to me. I'm not really feeling Joelinton. He's not exactly cheap. You can get Broja for that price, or cheaper than that price. So yeah, I think Joelinton is just not really the one. I imagine that he could potentially get rotated eventually with Bruno Guimaraes. And then finally on Newcastle, let's talk about the midfielders. And the big midfielders to go for are Willock and Fraser. 2 players I think have massively benefited from the absence of Saint-Maximin. Fraser in particular. Quick super chat here from Craig. Only got 1 free hit. Not sure if I should use it now or game week 30. I've got 5 players at the moment for 30. Our teams are the same as of last game week. Yeah, that's kind of tough. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. You've got 2 transfers, so you can get up to 7 players or 8 players with a hit. I mean, particularly if you load up on some Arsenal players next game week, that could work for you. And then you wouldn't need to free hit in 30. There's big opportunities for points this game week. So I'm going to say, I don't think there is a right answer here, by the way, if you only got 1 free hit. Craig, maybe you go for a free hit this game week and then use your two next game weeks of transfers. Maybe take a -4 next game week and get, maybe a couple of Arsenal players, for example. And then in game week 30, you can top up with 1 more player. I don't know who you could go for, to be honest. But yeah. There we go. Right, I really must finish my point on Newcastle players. So Willock and Fraser, those are by far my two favourite Newcastle midfielders. And 2 of my favourites, I really like them in general, actually. Fraser, I think, like I said, has really benefited from Saint-Maximin's absence. I think Saint-Maximin misses the first of the 2 in a double game week, but he could be reinstated for the second. We know that when Saint-Maximin is back, Ryan Fraser is going to move from the left back to the right, which is a shame because Fraser is much better on the left and he has been performing really well, creating a lot of chances. So in terms of for 1 game week only, I like Fraser because we know that Saint-Maximin is not going to be there. The problem is next game week when Saint-Maximin is back. I mean, I think it's probably going to happen fairly soon. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to affect Fraser. I just think I like the look of Fraser on the left a lot more. But maybe it's just good form and that he's just going to perform no matter where he is. But the point is, Fraser, he's been creating a lot. He's been shooting, not a lot, but a decent amount. And he just seems to be like literally one of the most creative players in the Premier League right now, creating so many chances, putting in so many crosses, and he's naturally going to pick up some assist points. And I expect him to get assist points. Now, if you're looking for goals, Willock is your guy. So Willock is taking an insane amount of shots at the moment. Like, do not underestimate the amount of shots that Willock is taking. He's really thriving. Like I say, I don't know if they're both thriving with the absence of Saint-Maximin because, Saint-Maximin doesn't pass. So maybe these guys are getting a little bit more of the ball. So, yeah, Willock is taking a lot of shots from all kinds of areas, particularly in the box. Though I mean, he's really pressing on from. He's not just sticking in central midfield. He wants to get in the box. He wants to do well. Oh, Craig has said, cheers, mate. So, yeah, no problem, Craig. Absolutely fine. And he's also said that Maxi trained today, and Eddie has said he will take part some way on Saturday. Okay, well, the last thing I read was that he was only just training again, and that it's going to be a last-minute decision, which is typically not very good. I mean, I don't feel like Newcastle need to play Sam Maximan when they're playing okay as it is, and the fixtures are not exactly, they can afford to not play Sam Maximan against Brighton. Southampton, you'd want him back for, I agree. I don't know. Let's see how that pans out. But certainly a cause for optimism if you're a Sam Maximan owner. But I don't think he's going to start in the first of the 2 games. I still don't think that. But yeah, Willock taking a lot of shots. Fraser creating a lot of chances. Both very, very good picks, especially with a double-double. And they're both pretty nailed on as well. Really nailed on. I expect both of those players to play each of the next 4. People talking about Havertz. He's my favourite of the Chelsea attackers right now. Wouldn't want him long-term, though. He's a bit of a troll for the longer term. And finally, someone says show the team. All right, I'll show you my team. Final kind of discussion point, since both of these players are on screen right now, and I saw a couple of people mention it. Adams versus Broja. My answer is, if money is no issue, Adams. But Broja, there is no better forward you can get at that price. And considering forwards are so disappointing, you want to spend as little money as possible. So for the long term, Broja at that price, amazing. One note on Broja, actually, I only kind of realised a few days ago, is we have got a Chelsea game coming up. Obviously, Broja can't play against his parent club. So 30 is going to be a blank for Broja now that Southampton are through in the FA Cup. But 32 is also going to be a bit of a ghost, a phantom blank for Broja, because he can't play against his parent club Chelsea. So decent for this game week, decent for next game week, decent for 31. But we've got this horrible situation where he can't play 30 and 32. So just be aware of that, guys. But in terms of who's in the better form right now, it's Adams. He's looking more likely to score goals. He's looking more likely to get assists. He's looking good. He's looking nice. Oh, he's got a goal return in each of his last 4 games. Madness, right? 3 goals in 4 games. He's on a madness, and for this double game week, if he can keep it up with 1 goal return per game, Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, that could be a lot worse. Particularly Southampton at home have phenomenal form. I don't think have they even lost a game this season at home. Home. Yeah, okay, they lost against Wolves. But no, they've got a very, I can see through here. They've got a very good, there's a lot of draws, but they're really hard to beat away. So, I think this could be good. I think this could be good for Che Adams, the form that he's in at the moment. He's certainly the form guy. And I know we because we are FPL managers, we speak a lot about Broja because we know Broja is really cheap. I think if you take it out of the FPL context, we'd be talking about Adams because we wouldn't care about FPL price. We'd just be talking about who is doing the best. And Adams is doing the best. So if money is no issue, then there we go. BNVR says, what would you do if you only had 1 free hit? Transfers. This is kind of the point, and this is really difficult to convey in videos. I try to do it, but this is kind of why you can't just follow chip strategy blindly. The reason why I'm free hitting this game week is because I decided prior to game week 26, I think, or 25, that I would be free hitting this game week. So I made transfers with my main team, intentionally getting as few double game week players as possible because I wanted to get players who double in 26. Not 26, 29. I wanted to focus on getting players who double in 29 and pretty much ignoring players who double in 28, actively removing players who double in 28 because I knew that I would be free hitting in game week 28. So if I had 1 free hit, I wouldn't have got myself into a situation where I have a weak team for 28. The only reason the only reason I have a weak team for 28 is because I knew I was going to be free hitting now. So yeah, that is a big thing of why you can't just follow people's people say to me, is this a yeah? And I've got this a lot, and I've seen you guys in the chat say it. I see it on Twitter all the time. I see it in my YouTube comments. People saying, right guys, it's game 28. What is our best option? Is our best option to free hit, or is our best option to wildcard this game week? It completely depends on your team. It completely depends on your team. It really does. There is no one correct answer for that. We can add in general rules like when is a good week to use a chip. We can say, Game Week 28 is a good time to use a chip. It's a good time for a bench boost. It's a good time for a wild card. It's a good time for a free hit. But depending on what your team looks like will define which of those chips are the best week for you. Going back to Game Week 26, we could say this is a good game week for triple captain because we knew that Salah had a really good double game week. We can say in game week 36, it's a really good game for a bench boost because we know there's going to be a lot of double game weeks. But in terms of free hits and wild cards, they are so dependent on the structure of your team. How good does your team look? People say, I get the comment a lot of the time, people saying, do you regret wild carding earlier? Would you prefer to have it now? Well, of course I would have preferred to have it now. I prefer to never need a wild card. I prefer to, have it for game week 38 if possible and always have a perfect team, right? But if your team gets to a point where your players just, you've got a dead weight in your team, you've got a lot of rotation risk players, you've got injuries, you've got suspensions, you've got not a lot of players with double game weeks, you've got a lot of players with blank game weeks, and all of these things look terrible for your team, then that is a good reason to wildcard. And it doesn't matter what kind of game week it is. If your team is not looking good, wildcard. And it doesn't need to be too much more complicated than that. If your team looks really good going forward, really good, for example, with my team looks really good for game week 29. I'm happy with my team for game week 29, but I'm not happy with it for game week 28. I don't want say I had a wild card, for example. I wouldn't want a wild card right now because I like my team, but I just don't like it for this specific week. So we use our free hit to elevate our team in those game weeks where it doesn't look so good. If we've got a lot of blanks, we like our team in general, but this week there's a lot of blanks. Free hit. Have a get out of jail free card for one game week only, and then we go back to our normal team that we like. So this is really difficult for me to tell you exactly. All I can do is kind of advise you to think for yourself and kind of analyze your own team and identify what is the best chip for you guys to use. There is not one answer, and I would be lying to you guys if I said that there was one answer. I like free hit for this game week, for me, for my team. Do I like it for your team? Not necessarily. And unfortunately, I mean, as much as I would love to, I can't do a full analysis on every one of your guys' team and identify the best chip strategy. I mean, honestly, it took me hours just to do, just to figure out my own. And every few days, I will spend another couple of hours trying to identify the best way to go with chips and transfer strategy and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do that for you guys as well and give kind of tailored advice as much as I would love to. All I can recommend is have a look at your team and kind of figure out what's best for you. But yeah, this is my free hit team. This is my first free hit. The reason why the bench is so expensive is because I just don't need to spend that much money. I had a load of spare. I had got all the players I wanted, and I had a load of spare budget. So I thought I may as well spend it, use it or lose it, kind of thing. So that's why my bench is so expensive. But yeah, I think this is roughly what my free hit team is going to end up on, to be honest. Well, there we go, guys. We've been going for over an hour. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this stream. I've definitely enjoyed this stream. I wanted to get a load off my chest. I wanted to talk about a load of different topics, and I've managed to do that. So this was very cathartic for me. So thank you guys for listening. You're doing me a favour, really. Hopefully there's been some good nuggets of information in here as well. I really do hope that. So guys, before I go, if you wouldn't mind liking the stream / video if you are watching it as a replay. Shout out to you guys watching the stream replay as well, of course. Please do leave a like, appreciate that. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave a comment, be interested to see what you guys have to say. Will there be any more videos and streams? Maybe. I've got a party tonight, so it depends how hungover I am tomorrow. Will define how, if I stream and if the stream is on time, if I wake up on time. you know, all that stuff. We'll see. But in a way, this stream has been a bit of a deadline stream anyway. We've been talking about similar kind of stuff. One more super chat quickly, from Augustine, who says, I've been sitting on this thought. Lukaku for captain could be an underrated captain pick since he'll be up front. Lukaku can be up front as much as he likes. If he doesn't get the ball, he won't score goals. So no, I don't like Lukaku for a captain. You know, just because he's got a high price does not mean he's a good player. He's not been in good form. He doesn't suit the Chelsea system, and I think he's quite rotation prone as well. So Lukaku for captain, definitely not. Lukaku just in your team in general, even that is really risky. I wouldn't do it personally, but I can slightly understand why you would pick Lukaku. I wouldn't do it personally. I definitely wouldn't captain him. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys so much. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.